Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here for that new discussion on the state, a digital meta platform for everyone. We want to define the concept of meta platform. It is a key in public action. The idea is to get an inspiration from the platform type of structure from the web giants. This form of governance should make it possible to innovate thanks to more cooperation and more transparency. So, Laura Letourneau, you've written a book about the topic. Could you please describe what we mean by the state platform and why should we get an inspiration from the web giants organization to reform the state of tomorrow? The platform state is, for us, the authors of the book, the answer for a state which might become obsolescent because of the GAFA and the examples that we were using with Clément when we were talking about the identity, Facebook Connect used by the English to pay their taxes. Facebook Connect, you know, when there is an attack and you want to declare yourself, it's much more efficient than a government telephone number. And when you look at this, you think about currency, Facebook currency, Stop COVID, Apple, Google. So the Uberization is a threat, but it is also a great opportunity to create an electroshock for a government which is having some difficulties to modernize itself. The idea, the model of the meta platform model, if we want to look at the GAFA model, is very powerful. The best example is Uber. When you zoom on the Uber model, you realize that the Uber drivers are using Waze and Google Maps for the geolocation. You connect to Uber with Facebook Connect. Data are managed by Amazon services. You connect to Uber and you go to Uber through the Apple Store or Google itself. So Uber is relying on technological infrastructure developed by others, and that's what is going to help it to go very quickly. So the GAFA are not simple platforms. They are platforms that could be called satellite, like Uber, Airbnb, etc. They are meta platforms. And what is it? Much more interesting to be a meta platform than a satellite platform, because the meta platform is going to be the winner. The most emblematic example of a meta platform is the App Store. On the App Store, not only Apple is sovereign, because you can Apple can set the rules of interoperability, safety, to assess the relevance of content. But it is also a platform on which Apple is very innovative without making any efforts, just by benefiting from what is being done outside, because Apple is charging 30% of commission. It is necessary for the government to use that model, so you can, it's a win-win situation. There are many examples in other public services, like in the fight against unemployment, and in the health sector. I would have never dared to dream about such a beautiful framework for applying the meta platform concept. Thank you very much, Laura. Antoine Picron, you have written a study about the Estonian model.
le disait Laura Letourneau,
like Laura Letourneau was saying, the platform state is pulling together different resources through an interoperability of different systems of operations. And Estonia has 3 million inhabitants, and they've done their democratic transition. It was a former USSR republic, and their system, their government is based on that Meta platform. And that Meta platform has been developed on 3 main pillars: the reduction of the digital divide on the one hand, and an e-identity, a digital identity to help citizens to log on to the different public services as well as the private services through one single portal. And those digital services are interconnected, following the same model as what the Apple Store is doing. It is a little bit like the backbone of the Estonian administration, with a standardized system for exchanging data so Estonians can have access to public services and private services, and to exchange data in an automated way. Thank you. Thank you very much. The platform government is consulting, is collaborating, is building services to innovate. Now, where do we stand in France? With Mr. Thomas Fatome, let's have a look at how the French government is getting organized following the Meta platform model, and what are going to be the consequences on the health system.
Monsieur Fatome, est-ce que vous m'entendez?
Mr. Fatome, can you hear me?
Bonjour. Est-ce que vous m'entendez?
Oui, parfaitement. Merci beaucoup.
Pardon, du coup, on a eu des petits problèmes de connexion.
Sorry for the technical problems.
Je viens tout juste de récupérer la
So I
connexion avec
just
la plateforme.
retrieved my connection with the platform. So I'm going to ask you the question again. The idea was to make an assessment of the situation in France, and I had a few questions to ask you. How does the French government is getting organized following the platform state model? What does it mean in terms of public services, and more particularly in the field of health? I believe that progressively the government has realized that it was in its interest to get organized and to find the right interfaces for the customers, the users of the public service, and to meet an expectation from those users who have been services being developed in the private sector and do have the same expectation from public services.
J'ai le sentiment que cette pression du client assuré est aussi un sentiment d'État.
Well, the interpreter is sorry, but there are some technical issues.
Ces logiques de plateforme sont généralement la traduction de coûts en forte réduction, au-delà même de la
usually beyond the service quality, there are some cost issues. Compared to other experiments which have been done in Estonia, it's a different configuration with a little bit of delay. And also because we do have a bigger population and less digital divide. Through the different structures, the necessity of having a roadmap, dedicated means, a shared strategy, and trying to develop it progressively over time. Bearing in mind, the interpreter is sorry, but the sound is not good enough to be translated.
On a tout de suite des millions d'usagers, des millions de clients. Et donc la nécessité de pouvoir éprouver des solutions dans la durée. Peut-être on viendra tout à l'heure sur la santé. Ce que je crois moi important.
So later on we might come back to health. I believe that the responsibility of the platform is to be able to build
à la fois des règles et aussi
on the long term some rules and projects and IT projects that are underlying
des transformations de long terme.
For long-term transformations. Let me use one example. The declaration
certaines formes de plateformes
which is some type of platform
et la sphère sociale et qui typiquement a été l'un des leviers majeurs.
Which has been one of the major levers for the tax withdrawal.
Donc capable ensuite de produire des fruits.
So the idea is that some of the projects will be conducted, like, for example, paying remunerations, what the health division is developing. So we're talking about long-term construction of information systems that are interoperable for all users. Okay, thank you very much. Laura Letourneux, let me come back to you.
Could you please
tell us about the digital situation and what are the more specific applications that we could see developed? So in the health sector, it's no surprise. The assessment is a bit depressing. It's very much behind compared to other sectors. We were saying that all medical practices do have IT now. Of course, it's a good thing, but when you think about it, other sectors are saying, well, all plants, all lawyer practices have their IT network, but you think about what could be done for patients to become the owner of their own health. We want to be more demanding than that. In 2019, when we joined the ministry with Dominique, we wanted to go beyond this. And we wanted to set all the ecosystem with CNAM, DGOS. Collectively, we went all around France for 6 months to look at why and what was the ethical framework, what was the what did we want to do, what was our vision. It is the platform state vision with a little house and a roadmap with action plans. It's never ending. Our responsibility is to do it over the next 3 years, not the next 5 years, because there is an emergency with the COVID. And then how do we coordinate ourselves, given the proliferation of players, the private sector, the public sector, the national, the local, so that the fact that we were all going into directions, but we become collective, and we are like bees that are bringing, that are contributing to the work. So we've been working on strategy and governance collectively. At the end of 2019, we have demonstrated that it was possible, that we had reached all our objectives, and now with the COVID, we are right in the middle of it, between 2019 and 2022. So there is a great frustration. For example, the fact that we have no national health identifier for each person to identify individuals it means that there are many operational difficulties, even for us as a public authority, to follow the epidemics. And so we will not count 4 times a grandmother that would be affected in a nursing home, would be tested in the lab, would have to be hospitalized, and could die. So these are 4 databases because of that lack of identification. And so we cannot be as perfect as what we would want,
But as ever, there's brilliant things going on as well. That's very positive things. During COVID, there was a boom of solidarity, of remote consultation, of remote services, surveillance follow-up. There's a host of examples, incredible examples on guidance with maladicoronavirus.fr website, allowing to, depending on your symptoms, either you call emergency services because it's really urgent, or you can just call your GP. And as a result of this concrete example, there's a host of other such examples. So that's brilliant. And you can guide, you can consult, you can do things remotely, platforms and internet websites, and you have a sovereign function of the state as well, new ways of managing intensive care, and maladicoronavirus.fr, works well if you use safety questionnaires and you reached a satisfactory degree of data protection. So frustration, yes, but positive points and things that you can leverage going forward. Yeah. So leveraging, yes, and then really making the best out of this crisis situation in the private sector? Well, in the private sector, as you mentioned, well, in the field of digital, what has been done, what about 6 months, is the equivalent of what would have been done within a period of 5 years. So that has really put a foot on the gas and throttle full on for digital services servicing the healthcare system. So we're talking 22 billion, in terms of funding for these types of services and technology development. And so if you put this on a par with healthcare expenses, you're talking 8 to 10% of performance improvements beyond these economic targets. What we're talking about is addressing complications, better medical decisions, better medical follow-up. And if we spend a few moments on a matter of medical complications, but might not be aware of that, but the risk of dying in hospitals as a result of cause that is not the cause for which you were first admitted is like, less than when you do mountain climbing without a rope. So taking better decisions, making better medical procedure, making them safer, has potential of value creation, which is huge. We can tap into and processes that really, really well sought out and required for the to leverage the potential of French healthcare. Let's talk about patients and the tools developed to improve patients' journey and to improve coordinations amongst healthcare professionals. Can you tell us a bit about developing of digital tools for patients and Estonia, as this is a country you know well? Indeed, the main tool, that's your point of the characteristics that you mentioned. So the e-prescription, notably, is the fact that you can have direct access to your prescriptions, not from a single number of identification, but from your ID card, electronic ID card. And, so this is. This allows you to consult your GP, check into your local pharmacist, and and an Estonian medical doctors that would prescribe via these electronic systems. They could just collect their drugs in Finland. There's interoperability there cross-border. So as well, and yet again, there's centralized systems that such with doctors, direct access to medical files, medical records of their patients. So this is really, again, very efficient indeed and seamless. Marie Busson, very well. Marie Busson, a few European perspectives on this matter. So what about European platforms? What could this look like? Well, I'm going to be addressing a number of economic stakes there. And so the state of the platform is to really have a 2-year plan. First of all, be transparent, completely transparent for the patients as to their healthcare journey, their life, and have interoperability amongst the various players engaged in this customer or patient journey. What type of experience are we talking about? You need to go much further along than Estonia or Sweden, a larger country, quite a mature country in this system implementation. What does it look like? Let's say a young adult has just moved out and looking for their first jobs, and feeling pain in their torso for the last weeks. Okay, they want to consult, and they log on to 77.se, the portal. They can register. They can take an appointment for the next day, 8 a.m. And the GP next day has access to the entire patient's journey, medical records, kind of a response, and adjust this person, refers the person to a cardiologist. Same again, he will work out a diagnosis, examinations, treatment, which is directly passed on to the pharmacist, and the patients can get their drugs delivered directly to their home. That's the experience that we want. It's very simple, it's seamless, and extremely efficient. And I've taken this very simple example on purpose for chronic diseases, more complicated ailments. You can see the clearly benefits that this can offer. So in the end, we don't talk about extremely complicated innovations. That's what's interesting here, is that at the end of the day, if we can coordinate in concrete terms all these players, we offer an easy-to-use ergonomic experience, a simple experience, opening up to new relationship with one's health. That opens up new horizons as to the state of health of the entire population. Indeed, doing that with your GP and other healthcare professionals and sounds great. Now let's come back to France. Can you describe the tools that are in the course of being developed for users as well as healthcare professionals? Yes.
Nous, on a engagé finalement un mouvement à la fois vis-à-vis de nos assurés,
initiated movements with our ancient members and patients. Why? Because when we look at something like Contabili, you're talking 36 million members. That's significant, and via this account, the Amélie account, the French system, and the French healthcare, national healthcare system. And when it comes to their health insurance, health covers, basic health insurance, and then gradually we want to roll out supporting systems to flagging prevention message. And to take the example of the COVID-19 crisis, we've had a considerable traffic through Amélie or via Amélie, and those people in the systems were searching for lots of information on COVID, on health. So using this driver, this administrative relationship in some ways to gradually try to provide digital support along patients' journey is great. That can be done in terms of developing applications on asthma, preventing backache, on a host of services. So we are building a set of services and leveraging the number of people in the Amily platforms and to entertain relationship and develop support to support people in day-to-day life from a health standpoint. Obviously, we have very structured projects around the DMP and the digital health space, DMP, has reached phase 1. Since the steering was taken over to really ramp up the volume. As we're talking 10 million DMT, so about slightly under 10 million. Beyond that, we want to feed in and we want to, that comes into the negotiation with the healthcare professionals now. We want to them to feed into the DMP, for X-rays, hospital reports, post-op reports, and feeding into the DMP so as to be more active and to be more comprehensive. And beyond that, we have healthcare professionals beyond users, and as well as users, patients. We have a roadmap ahead of us that the recent think tank referred to as the Ségur of Health is reflected upon development of the e-card Vital, developing of prescriptions, e-prescriptions. Laura Letourneau's descriptions were pretty good, and because we need to overcome those frustrations, we would love for this to move faster. As the success requirements, we need to embark healthcare professionals so that it really is embedded in their day-to-day life, day-to-day practices, routines, and this is one of the key challenges in the coming months. For these to become habits, we need to put in place actual co-constructions with patients, users. Laura Letourneau, what will we be getting in the healthcare space will support patients who really bet some money to their health and for us to support them. Inaudible, says the interpreter. Oh,
excusez-moi, pardon.
Laura has not unmuted her mic. There we go. Now, to refer to your introductory remarks on the platform, the digital health space, this is the very example. This is a host, an array of applications of digital platforms, and they are accepted in this, to be listed in this store if they comply with the number of public service requirements, and they have to meet requirements of the Meta platform, the medical record, storage space, a repository of medical records, and summary reports compatible with APIs, and then a director. I was talking about the National Healthcare Identifier, the RPPS, that you know well. There's also mechanisms of identifications that really are embedded in these directives. It's not like Facebook Connect for Uber or to pay for your taxes in the UK. That's France Connect on the patient side, and it's Pro Santé Connect on the healthcare professional side. So the role of the state there is to guarantee general interest rules,
et de développer cette métaplateforme, cette infrastructure,
and to develop this platform, this infrastructure.
This is not toutes les apps du store innovantes à valeur ajoutée métier. Ce n'est pas de faire des balances connectées, ce n'est pas de faire des applications diabète, des services de prise de rendez-vous, tous les portails patients des hôpitaux, des EHPAD, des outils de téléconsultation. Tout comme dans une ville, pour sauver cette comparaison, les pouvoirs publics, ils font les règles, le code de l'urbanisme, le code de la route, et ils font les routes, les ponts, le réseau des routes, les supervisent leur développement.
Designed to constructions, but in the
but they don't go as far as individual homes. Whenever something that needs to be done, there's no business model, but they do so when they come in. But it's just about a meta platform, it's roads and related infrastructures. So our role is really a trusted third party. If people choose a connected object, a teleconsultation, they must have the guarantee, because that's checked by public services, that the GDPR is complied with, that they play the game of openness with interoperability, that if we want to switch to a competitor tomorrow, they have to play the game, they have to play ball. And around this tool, which is digital health space, and COVID did a lot of harm in these. We've co-constructed since then with insurance, health insurance, and healthcare professionals with citizens themselves via workshops, focus groups taking place, and they would take into account the formative prevention, because we think that this is not by public servants cannot take all decisions when it comes to access to carers of medical records. I attended a very interesting debate here. I need to have access to the medical records of my mother, and because she's losing it, and I don't want my daughter to have access to my medical records. I don't want to know about records. I don't want her to have access to medical records of when I delivered the baby or a baby. So we need to have like a way of capturing weak signals, and so we can boost, because citizen discussions, workshops, you see people face to face. It spurs you on to do things even better when you get back to the ministry. So it's being in direct interface with the population. Trust, I ask these tools being used by citizens, but you need to rise up to the number of challenges if you want to reach a degree of trust that you make use of these tools. Let's talk about these challenges of platforms. How can we anticipate, how can we address these around all these tools that will be put at the disposal of citizens? And about a European or Estonian perspective on the role of state in the 21st century. Manage to construct services, online services, but this is all the, this is not all. Okay, we've discussed these initiatives and decisions that, we're talking about Estonia, population of 3 million, and therefore there was a series of events that have been particularly conducive to developing of digital, because Estonia is very much digital-oriented. And here, depending on the population, there's a number of transfer populations that are excluded from digital services. So that's you need to overcome these challenges. You need to co-construct, and this really the aim of digital is not necessarily to cut costs, but simplifying, but an improvement of public services. And I think clearly this is resorting to this type of role. That's what we're talking about. And at we are at a point where people in the capacity to put in place services that are, well, either better or more efficient compared to traditional public services.
conférences qui ont pu être données
talking about
l'université via
referring to conferences, academic conferences,
c'était par exemple via Facebook Live, via Zoom,
via Zoom, via Facebook Live, via other communication tools or platforms. So, is the state interested in that? Do we have an interest in that? And
et là, non pas de partir seulement sur une dynamique de régulation économique, mais une dynamique
It's beyond economic regulations. It's about regulating surveillance of, and protection of private data as well. You need to take into account all these. So, Marie, do you want to take into account all these challenges? And when it comes to businesses collaborating with the state, I'm talking about various types of laws there, and we want to go beyond. We want to go faster. We want to go beyond. We want to better. And the role of the state is in defining the role of the states, because we agree in terms of trust, in terms of safety, in terms of moving as fast as possible in digital development. That's all the ethics, dimension. So these are the key to success. There's no magical bullet. So when it comes to state function, sovereign function, this is about setting up the standards, interoperability, safety, and then so innovations, implementing smart alternatives. So this could be for use-based remuneration and for GP, we want to boost innovation, we want to foster innovation. How do we go about this? Where does the state, where does the state stand for fund venture capital, so for private equities? Well, if investment is not there, what is the role of the state, and on what basis? How can we have access to rich data, quality data, and data that can be actuated, that can be, actionable? And that really is key. So innovation, protections, and fluidity when it comes to accessing data. So Jim is strong there, and to illustrate what I'm saying is that I'm going to take the example of Israel, well known to be quite ahead of the game in high-tech, and they've made interesting choices along these various types of roles. In Israel, we're talking about these 4 primary paying authorities. They've developed infrastructures, they've built their bases, their basic bricks, and the role of the state has been limited to boosting innovation in one of these areas via the financing, the funding model, and it means that the payers continue to innovate for efficiency purposes, to drive their efficiency and to pay, and to really for their market share. And what about innovation on startups? And they've set up incubators for startups, backed with healthcare centers to do things relevantly faster, and they allow the construction of a market of venture capital, taking care of the putting in place of all these startups and really boosting these startups. And this really will will push innovation further as a result. So we want to go faster, always faster when it comes to innovation. What are the innovations that can be put in place to go faster, ever more, ever faster, and whilst bringing together all the stakeholders? Starting from what was said earlier, maybe reiterating this.
Être sûr qu'on a l'adhésion des assurés et des professionnels.
So when it comes to insuring and really trust is absolutely key. We talk about health in a country that is really attentive to personal data, safety of personal data, and for us this is really key to all times we need to show that we are transparent in our data management processes, and this is a prerequisite to make it happen. Now, talking about innovation, I think there's a kind of a triptych, and so we need to find come up with the right blend between innovation, support, and a form of constraints, or maybe a coercive approach. And to move forward, it's not easy. Sometimes you have to put money on the table to boost innovation, and this is what we did for ramping up, developing better and better equipment for healthcare professionals. We need to support on a day-to-day basis our striking forces. And we have people in the field, and they do support us, and we want to continue engaging them so they can be really at the forefront of what needs to be done. We need to think that sometimes you need a bit of you need to be a bit coercive, not for the sake of this, not for constraints, but to try at times to move faster. You need to either set a standard or impose a regulation. Sometimes you need to be daring and do it so as to disrupt. And in these prerequisites as well, talking about what is needed when we talk about the state and platform, and we need clear governance. And health insurance is a key operator and needs the state to set a roadmap to the Ségur. This is something that can be done, and it suits me very well to have governance. I know what priorities are. I know that I can apply them, implement them with healthcare professionals. So trust, clear governance, a good blend, a good dosage in inciting and supporting, and what's compelling, constraining. And we need, with this, we can move faster without, step by step, but we can be on a par with the agenda that has been set up in the 6 coming months. So the elephant in the room here, we just received information. We were talking about trust. Many stakeholders think that innovation is in contradiction with the fact of having gone for an American operator to host the ELSA Hub. So tell us a bit more about this. So I won't shy away from answering this question. 2 things. This decision has been made by the LS Data Hub pilots, and not around the table, so they will be able to provide with an answer to the question. It said that the fact of having an American player was not questioning the integrity of the project. Now, that's at stake when it comes to moving faster, further when it comes to sharing of data, and health insurance has considerable vast volume of data here. It's like, okay, we can have as a hub, and we want to play driving role here, and we do want an LS Data Hub that delivers performance in the coming years, efficient, or do we want others to move faster? And that's what's key. This hub, do hospitals, partners, and health insurance, and are we agile enough to say, well, okay, want to turn the data hub to be a success? And that's the key to success once again. We've had opportunities to take these questions. There's been a number of legal recourse won by the operator, and we need to move forward. We need to protect and focus on the real challenges at stake. So let's look forward with Laurent, maybe as a wrap-up to this discussions. Tell us about the recovery plan, focusing on the health and digital. And there's been a number of steps forward lately. Tell us a bit more about that, please.
ça va faire écho à la question précédente certainement aussi, mais c'est vrai que c'est un peu tabou.
Repeat previous questions, but echo the previous questions.
L'État plateforme, c'est le beurre et l'argent du beurre, c'est faire
the state and platform is really win. It's you don't want to sell your soul to the devil, but you need to come up with a smart partnership beyond everybody's economic interest. So the success of these state really in our purpose as ministry at the Ministry of Health is to prevent better and care better, and we need to take care of the emergency existence of sovereign industrialists that are robust to act as a platform. And the state as service providers, we don't want to internalize the DMP, DNS, and the APIs and so on, as well as to develop all innovative social platforms that will come to nurture. And that is of interest to us. This is of interest to citizens. We don't know how to do this, and that's not our role. But to meet our roles to better cure, better better delivery, we need to be innovative, and we have to take into account this high potential solutions. Ministry of Health, we need to go beyond silos, work in a cross-cutting manner with the other ministries, inland tax, competitivity clusters, economic clusters, so as to see the emergence of all these branches and players. There were historical announcements talking 2 billion euros for eye health sector. There'll be further announcements with other directions taken. Projects is very much looked into by startups as well as other types of companies and innovations, and this will be out, in October, looking at startups, looking at investments, and looking at having a clear vision across those emerging players from all the various organizations involved. So what we want to, where are the documentary resources, what experts can we consult if we need to make a decision? And we need to have a clear vision as to the funding available to identify what door can we knock on. And so there's co-constructions that have been taking place over 6 months. Now there's a very, very significant need, and now there's a real version of the document that will be released at the start of October.
Un peu nouveauté, là, je ne sais pas si vous avez vu, il y a 2 semaines, il y a 235
One of the latest innovations, 235 industries have signed a charter for the e-health with the logo. They said they wanted to adopt this, to comply with the rules, to be part of the stores of the digital services. So there's a real impetus. And we have demonstrated during the crisis, and on the positive note, we have demonstrated that many projects have been supported by the private and the public sector in a record time. Contact COVID, for example, the innovation one-stop shop, and also a successful private-public partnership, which with a project in 3 weeks, we've been able to develop a comprehensive information system connecting the 5,000 labs in France, carrying out PCR tests, in order to be in the position to trigger the health investigations triggered by the medical coverage, and to have a more precise diagnosis. So it was a real challenge, because we had been trying to do it for the past 8 years on other infectious disease. We did not manage to do it. In that case, we had a great support from the political lever, from the minister, from the project governance. We did co-build all together with the ministry, the CNAM, the PHB, the 4 industries, all the labs, the trade unions from the labs. It was a mixed commando team, project team. Everybody was aiming at the same objective, the legislative lever, because it was part of the law that it was mandatory. Thomas was talking about the fact that it was binding, and that's necessary, and also the financial lever. Now we're going to activate that lever thanks to the SIGUR. On the CAVOT, Peter, as well, labs have received a premium to feed CBET, and industries have received help so they could connect to the CBET. For the baton lever, because it was said that lab would not get a premium. They not only wouldn't get the premium, but they would not be refunded. There wouldn't be any refund if they were not to feed the CBET for the test. So governance made it possible for CBET to be connected to all the labs. That's what we're going to do. We are going to activate all those levers on a number of concrete cases, sharing biological data, imaging, hospital data, medical summary data. So all those data will be shared, and before 2 years, we will not have solved everything, but on 80% of the needs in terms of coordination, that we would have made a significant gap. Thank you very much. I would like to talk about the digital divide. Once we have made the necessary investment in infrastructures, how do we make sure that citizens and patients can have access to all those services in an all-digital logic? Laura, would you like to answer this? Now, the digital divide issue is essential. We shouldn't think that we are going to develop tools and that we'll see about the digital divide. Otherwise, it's not going to work. There is the infrastructure aspect of things. I was regulating telecom operators in my previous job, and we were in favor of trying to reduce the white areas, the areas where there was no coverage. And also the training is important. There is a number of partnerships that need to be developed with players with a powerful territorial network, like the medical entrance, to assist people who are socially distanced from the digital, or because they are elderly, or because they are disabled, or because they need specific tools, they need to be helped. So we're also dealing with all these projects. We have a partnership with the Agency of Territories, the Secretary of State with the digital, in order to address that topic, because we want the digital space to be available to all French people, not only Parisian people. Thank you very much. Mr. Fatoum, do you have any actions, training actions to go towards digital tools and in a more general way, so the health system will be listening to patients more? Yes, absolutely. We are part and parcel of all the approaches that are being taken, notably to assist the patients who might have problems in the public space.
L'État a aussi beaucoup investi ces dernières années des passes numériques.
Sorry, it's not possible to translate. I'm sorry, there are some sound issues.
De mieux accompagner l'ensemble des usagers dans cette marche. Donc, je crois que c'est une priorité assez bien identifiée. Et je ne peux pas m'empêcher de dire que
and I would also like to say
il faut aussi qu'on se dise que
that
aujourd'hui, par exemple, les
today,
retraités,
for example,
ils demandent une seule chose,
retired people, the future retired people, when you ask them about when they are going to ask for their retirement pensions, they are telling you that they want to be able to do it online as much as possible. So the digital aspect of things is essential. So, but let's not make it an obstacle that we would create. We need to assist the insured, but they are having great expectations about digital tools. So the challenge is to assist the ones having the greatest difficulties, but also to meet the expectations of the majority of the population, whatever the generation is, that are expecting digital services that will simplify their daily life. There might be other expectations around the pedagogical tools. Marie Busson, do you have any idea about how we could better communicate about giving an easier access to health data? What works best is that co-construction that Laura has talked about. We were talking about it for digital divide. How can we make sure that we're going to co-build in a consumer experience design? How can we center the development of our services? It's going to improve the adoption and the success conditions. We're talking about tools that are going to be easier to explain in terms of communication. How do we focus that communication on patients? It is supposed to be focused on patients. How can we make it ahead of time in the broad manner to avoid some pitfalls that we've seen during the COVID crisis, where there were many messages, many channels, and it was not necessarily legible. Thank you very much. Antoine Piqueron, in conclusion, maybe to have a European perspective on the study that you've carried out in Estonia. Many things have been done in that country, so the population would get to grips with the tools and adopt that approach. Yes, there has been some programs regarding the infrastructures for supplying digital equipment, computers, IT, classes in primary schools. And it is true for most Scandinavian countries. They are digital native countries. Now, it's also true for the public service. It is simple and seamless, it's seamless, and therefore it is structured in such a way that for people who are using it, it's not a nightmare. I have a question for Estonia. Do doctors have access to all patients' data through the medical record? Well, Estonia is part of the European Union, and so they do have the general protection data regulations in place. Doctors are approved by patients, except in emergency situations where the doctor will have access to all the medical record. But that's in the interest of the patient. Thank you very much. Marie Buisson, to come back to the relationships between the state and companies, what was unblocked? The advancement of that platform, what was the result? It's a win-win situation because it's a common purpose that we're aiming at. All health companies have a vocation, which is to improve the health situation. And so I believe that the fact that everything is put in common around data is showing each contribution, the economic and the health contribution of each of them. It's going to ease changes. And culturally speaking, it's also going to be a way to see what's happening. Public-private cooperations have not been very common in France, but they're very promising for the future. So also they are promising for the health sector and the international vision. I did attend a conference in the States last week on health. So if we want to be hopeful, after each crisis, there is a major transformation. We do have a COVID crisis at the moment. We are public health actors, so there should be a cooperation between private and public actors to make things move forward. So we need to be tenacious enough. Thank you very much. Major work needs to be done around pedagogical tools, so each party, each stakeholder will get to grips with all those tools and make things move forward. Thank you very much, and we'll meet again at 5:30 for another panel discussion about what would be the purpose for private and public companies. Thank you.